So recently there was a new trailer that was launched at the Game Awards, but more excitingly there was a sit-down, hands-off, Forspoken demo where the devs have outlined a whole plethora of details about the game. So I've put together two videos. This is the first one, the more exciting probably of the two. We're going to go through and outline basically some of the more ARPG elements to it, so gear, loot, spells, all the exciting things that make these kinds of games really good or really bad. Anyway, let's start at the beginning. Let's just cover the movement. So the whole parkour system is a parkour system. It has been coined magic parkour, and that watery stuff that's coming out the back of you is called flow, and it's an ability. You hold down circle and it basically makes you go faster and do the parkour movements. So no RPG would be the same without some sort of stat metric to power your character up, and this is no exception. So you do have a leveling system. When you level up, you get points which you can put into a talent system, which we will talk about a little bit later. But at a base primary level, you have 8 different stats. There's health, stamina, defense, healing, and then the magic, which I was guessing around last time I did a video on this, which I thought it was mainly based around the elements, but it's actually the 4 different color types. And you have purple, red, blue, and green. And each of these does kind of represent a different element, but each one of the magic types has a whole plethora of spells attached to it. Now, to additionally power your character, you do have armor that you can equip. The main cosmetic item is your cloak, but you also have a necklace, and more interestingly, you also have nail designs that you can equip as well to power up your spells. Now, your cloak can have up to 3 different perks and buffs. So far, we've only seen 3 on the demo. These were making you immune to poison, debuffs on yourself, recover faster, and surge magic recharge rate boosted when cuff blocks, which tells us that there is like a spell block system as well, but I didn't actually get to see it demoed. Your necklace also comes with its own perk and upgrades. I didn't see any stat association with this, but the one that they demoed again was support magic deals extra damage. And the last item upgrade system, which I found the most interesting, was the nail design. And again, they only showcased one, but it was called Blue Flash, and this was attack spells charge more quickly. So I don't know if it is a case that, you know, your necklace gives you more damage stats, and then nails are basically how fast things recharge, and then armor is about, you know, more about yourself and being immune to different damages and resistances, etc. Now, when it comes to magical abilities, it works in the following way. In the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you are given 3 spells that you have active at any given time. One is on L2, one is on R2, and then with a combination of both, you're able to activate a 3rd ultimate style spell. The bottom 2 spells are sourced from your spell wheel, which you can call up and hot swap at any given time. And additionally, there's also a button that allows you to swap between the different color magics that you have, meaning that you have potentially access up to 12 spells at any given time. Now, the only spell that I am speculating on is the ultimate magic. It also looks like each of the color magics has one of these ultimate spells. I'm presuming that there are more of them. And as for the source of these, now I couldn't see them on the spell wheels, but what I could see is that they were selectable on the talent tree. So when you get enough XP, you level up and you're given a talent point, and then you can put a point into a new talent, for example. And the talent tree is kind of like a web fashion, so they are linked to each other. And some of the ones that I saw were like, you know, version 1 of the spell, version 2, version 3 does more AoE, more damage, etc. And the ones that I could find, so there was burst shot, and like level 1 does fires force lumps of explosive rock, and then it's the same description but more damage in a wider area, and then so forth and so forth. Anyway, now on to the best bit, which is some examples of the kind of spells that you are going to use. This is not an exhaustive list, and I didn't get to see all of the colours, but here are some, and I gotta admit, some of them do sound actually quite fun. So we have Bind, which is an ability that ties up your enemies with weeds and is kind of like an immobilization spell. We have Implant, which fires seeds into the enemy, then deals damage for every strike that you further land on the enemy. You then have Disperse, which causes flowers to spring up in a spot of your choosing, and then picks up nearby rocks and flings them at the enemies. The next one was Prime, which places a magical trap in a spot of your choosing, and then explodes when an enemy walks over it in an AoE. And then you have quite an interesting spell called Borrow, which sends out item-seeking routes, and then the more loot you find, the more quickly your support magic will recharge. So a bit of a utility spell there. There are some kind of generic-ish kind of projectile spells. So there was Fan Bolt, which fires a spray of magical linking arrows out in front of you, dealing damage to the area that they cover. You have Chain Bolt, which fires an arrow upon charging and another upon release. If they both strike in the same place, bonus damage is dealt. And then the last of the bolt ones, which was fires an arrow which breaks up in midair, raining down bolts that deal damage over a wide area. And these were all selectable. They weren't like different talent versions of them. They were just different versions of Bolt, if that makes sense. Now, one of the coolest spells I saw, but I never actually got to see it executed, was like a snake spell called Neerdra. And it sends a poisonous column of water snaking towards the enemy that can envenomate those that it strikes. And then there was Obliterate, which was really cool, which formed an enormous ball of water in which the enemy is trapped, attacking the ball, causing area damage dealing explosion. And these spells, they aren't tiny by any stretch of imagination. They are huge and kind of like envelop big areas and kind of, you know, have that big dramatic impact you would expect with kind of like cool, you know, clashing of spells, etc. One of the ultimate spells was called Tempest. It was a green spell and it was like a big electrical AoE attack. And additionally, there seems to be lots of these kind of smaller projectile-esque spells. Another one was called Pulse Dart, and it's a pulsing arrow projectile, it read. And that is pretty much it for the world of spells and everything that I managed to pick up from the demo. So let me know if this whets your appetite for this game. One thing to take away for sure is they're putting a big emphasis into the magic of the game. There's certainly going to be lots and lots of different types of spells, and I think that kind of really leans into having the ability to work with your own playstyle that you personally enjoy rather than having a cookie cutter that you are forced to follow. Now, if you want to know more details, I am doing another video on kind of like the basic stuff and general overview of the game. So check that one out if you want to know a little bit more about the whole open world and just my general thoughts on the game, really. So yeah, have a great week, everyone. That's all I've got for now. When we know more, we will do an update on it. But until then, have a wonderful day, and I'll be back with more news soon.